Sometimes a single gift can break years of silence. Sometimes a simple package at your front door can reopen old wounds and remind you of betrayals you thought were buried forever. This is the story of how a pink dress, mailed to my little girl for her birthday, pulled apart everything I thought I knew about my family and forced me to make the hardest choice of my life. It was my daughter Lily's 8th birthday when it arrived. A medium-sized box, plain brown with one corner bent in. It sat on the front porch of our house in Seattle, Washington on a Thursday morning, just like any other delivery. I didn't think much of it at first. Packages came often, books, groceries, the little things my husband ordered late at night. But this one had Lily's name written across the label, in a careful slanted handwriting I knew all too well. It was my mother's handwriting, the same one she used on Christmas cards that carried more judgment than cheer. I sighed, brought the package inside, and set it on the cluttered kitchen table. Half-empty cereal bowls sat there. A crayon drawing of a unicorn, unfinished. Lily's shoes tossed to the side. The usual morning mess. Lily noticed the box right away. Her eyes lit up like fireworks. She loves mail. You could wrap up a rock and hand it to her, and she'd treat it like buried treasure. She was still in mismatched socks, a smudge of toothpaste on her chin, but her little hands hovered over the box like it held magic. "Can I open it, Mommy?" she asked. I nodded. "Go ahead." She tore into the tape with excitement, and inside, neatly wrapped in crisp white tissue paper, was a dress. Pink. Soft. With tiny embroidered stars scattered near the hem. The kind of dress you'd expect at a children's piano recital, or maybe a fairy tale-themed brunch. Definitely not my taste. But Lily's eyes widened in pure awe. "Wow," she whispered. Even my husband looked up from his laptop. "Fancy. She'll outgrow it in a few months." My hands wouldn't stop trembling. My chest ached. I hated that my daughter had already learned not to follow me when I needed space. She was only 8, and she knew when her mom was breaking. I held the dress on my lap like it was a bomb ready to go off. I thought this wasn't for Lily. It was for them. Because this wasn't the first time a little girl in our family had been given a pink dress and told it was special. I was 6 years old the first time. My own birthday. Relatives filled the living room. Aunts. Neighbors. Family friends my mother had guilted into coming. But it didn't feel like my birthday. Because Emma had just been accepted into some youth dance program, Star Steps or Sparkle Academy. Something glittery like that. And when she twirled into the room in her pink dress, the original one, everyone clapped. Cameras flashed. My mother smiled like she'd won an award. And me? I sat there holding a juice box, invisible. At one point I tugged on my mother's sleeve and whispered, "It's my birthday." She didn't even look at me. "Don't make this about you," she said. I walked back to the couch, juice box in hand, and I understood for the very first time that no matter how hard I tried, I would never outshine Emma. That was only the beginning. Emma was 2 years older, but it felt like she lived in a world I could never reach. Teachers adored her. Strangers noticed her. She wasn't cruel, not exactly. She just carried light with her, and everyone else lived in her shadow. I copied her handwriting, her laugh, even the way she walked. I thought if I could just decode whatever magic she had, maybe, just maybe, I'd finally earn the same love. But it never worked. Years later, Emma announced she was launching a fashion brand. Sustainable, trendy, eco-friendly. She had the words down perfectly, the kind that made people believe in her. She showed us mock-ups, websites, even staged photos of clothing. She promised us it was real. She said she just needed funding to expand. "It's not a gift," she said. "It's an investment. You'll get triple your money back." First she asked for small amounts. A few hundred here. 1,000 there. She even sent fake invoices and screenshots of supposed clients. Then came bigger requests, a boutique in Los Angeles, a showroom in New York. She made it sound unstoppable. And we believed her. My parents gave her what they could. I gave more than I should have. Because when Emma glowed, we all wanted to believe some of that light would reach us too. But then she stopped answering. Calls went ignored. Texts unread. Updates turned vague, then vanished. And eventually Emma disappeared. When Emma disappeared, she didn't just vanish from our lives. She left behind something far worse. A trail of damage so deep, it took years to even understand how far it reached. At first, we thought something terrible must have happened to her. Maybe an accident, maybe some emergency abroad. My parents called everyone they knew. I stayed up late scrolling through news articles, searching her name, checking social media, hoping for any sign. But no headline appeared. No missing persons report. Nothing. What finally came instead was a letter. Flat. Emotionless. Written like she was informing us about a change in the weather. She wrote, "I've moved overseas. I need space. I hope you'll understand." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. We tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she really was starting over. Maybe she'd come back. But slowly the truth came to light. There was no business. No suppliers. No fashion line. Just a glossy website and fake documents. Emma hadn't invested in anything except herself. Our money, my parents' money, it had gone to travel, hotels, shopping, and who knows what else. She didn't just drain us financially. She left us with consequences we never agreed to carry. I still remember the first phone call from a bank. The man on the other end asked me to confirm an account I had supposedly opened. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about. But then came another call. And another. Emma had opened credit cards in my name. Small balances at first. Then more. Enough to wreck my credit. The police called it a civil matter. The bank said it was family business. To them, it was just my word against hers. But for me, it was sleepless nights, juggling late notices, and drowning under debt I hadn't created. My parents were shattered. They kept saying the same phrase over and over. "We're broken." But I was the one who stayed. I was the one who picked up the pieces. I worked double shifts. I covered their late bills, helped with their mortgage, paid for groceries. My hand shook every time rent was due, but I did it anyway. Because I thought, stupidly, maybe that we were in this together. That we had all learned the same brutal lesson. But then the comments started. "She looks just like Emma at that age. Lily has her spark. Maybe she'll dance too." First, I brushed it off as nostalgia. Old relatives clinging to sweeter memories. But then came the gifts. The little nudges. Books about dance. Outfits Emma would have worn. The subtle push toward familiar patterns. And finally, that dress. The one with little Emma stitched across the chest. That wasn't nostalgia. That was obsession. That was my parents trying to bring Emma back through my daughter. And that was the line. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I did something quieter. Something final. I picked up my phone. Still sitting on the edge of the bed. The pink dress beside me like a ghost. I opened my banking app. Then another. Then another. One by one, I canceled every automatic payment I had been sending my parents. The grocery card reload. The monthly transfers. The partial mortgage help. Gone. Really? I said quietly. And yet I'm the one who's been paying for it. "She's your sister," she hissed. "Don't be petty." I almost laughed. "She was your favorite." There was a pause. Then she said softer, "We lost her. We lost a daughter." "You didn't lose her," I said flatly. "She stole everything you gave her and ran. And now you want to take Lily too. That's not fair." "No," I snapped. "What's not fair is that I was the one who stayed. I was the one who cleaned up after her. I worked 2 jobs. I paid your bills. And none of it was ever enough, was it?" Silence. "Exactly," I said. "Name one time you looked at me and didn't see a disappointment. You're being dramatic." "No," I said coldly. "I'm being done." And I hung up. That night, I blocked their number. I deleted every calendar reminder I had for them. Rent help, grocery card reloads, utility payments. All gone. Then I opened a blank spreadsheet on my laptop. I typed one title across the top. Things that are mine. There wasn't much to list. But it was the first time in years that the page was clean. Untouched by Emma. Untouched by my parents. It wasn't peace. Not yet. But it was mine. For the first time, I thought the fire had burned through. That the damage was contained. That maybe, just maybe, it was finally over. But I was wrong. Because what came next wasn't louder. It was quieter. The kind of quiet that slips in when you think you're safe, and reminds you the floor you're standing on was never solid at all. You'd think that cutting someone off would bring peace. That the silence would mean freedom. But silence has its own weight. And my family wasn't about to let me carry it alone. For a few weeks it was almost calm. No calls. No texts. No doorstep gifts. I tucked Lily into bed at night without worrying what messages would be waiting for me in the morning. I went to work without wondering if another bill notice was sitting in my parents' mailbox with my name on it. But peace never lasts long in a family like mine. The first wave came from the extended relatives. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Suddenly, my phone lit up with numbers I hadn't saved since college. You can't abandon your parents like this. Blood is blood. Don't punish them for your sister's mistakes. Some messages were gentler. Some were dripping with guilt. But all of them had the same sharp edge underneath. How dare you say no? I deleted most without replying. But one from my Aunt Grace stopped me cold. She wrote, "They told us you were ungrateful. But cutting them off completely? That's cruel. Ungrateful. That was the word. The one my mother had always used in arguments. The one Emma had thrown at me the night she packed her bags and disappeared. Ungrateful. As if survival had been a gift I should have been thanking them for. But it didn't stop there. One evening, as I was leaving the grocery store, I heard someone calling my name across the parking lot. It was my cousin Daniel. Out of breath, red-faced, waving his phone at me. "Why are you doing this?" he demanded. "Doing what?" I asked flatly, shifting the bags in my hands. "They're drowning. They can't pay their bills. And you're just walking away." I stared at him. He was younger, maybe mid-20s, barely scraping by himself. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity. "They raised you," he continued. "Don't you think you owe them something?" That was it. The word. Oh, not love. Not loyalty. Oh. I set the bags down on the curb and looked him in the eye. "Do you know how many loans Emma took out in my name?" I asked quietly. He blinked, shook his head. "Do you know how many shifts I worked so your uncle and aunt didn't lose their house?" Another shake of the head. "Then don't tell me what I owe." I picked up the bags, walked past him and didn't look back. But even as I fought off the relatives, even as I blocked more numbers and shut more doors, I could feel it, the unfinished business, the shadow that still hovered over everything. Emma. For 5 years she'd been silent. No calls. No letters. No word of where she really was. Until one Tuesday morning, when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it. But something made me swipe. "Hello." The voice on the other end froze me. "Hey little sis." "Emma." My throat went dry. I didn't answer right away. Finally I said, "What do you want?" She laughed softly, the same careless sound I remembered from years ago. Straight to business. Always the serious one. "What do you want?" I repeated, sharper. She sighed. "I heard you've been difficult. With Mom and Dad." The blood drained from my face. "You've been talking to them?" "Of course I have," she said breezily. "They're my parents too." It hit me then. While I'd been paying their bills, while I'd been carrying their debt, Emma hadn't been gone completely. She'd been in touch. Quietly. Behind the scenes. And suddenly it made sense. The obsession with Lily. The little Emma dress. The constant comparisons. They hadn't lost her. They hadn't been abandoned. They'd been waiting. "I don't have anything to say to you," I said flatly. "Come on," she cooed. "Don't be like that. I thought maybe we could meet. Talk. Maybe work something out." I almost laughed. "Work something out? After everything you did?" She didn't flinch. "You always were dramatic. Look, I just wanted to say you should really think about Mom and Dad. They're not doing well. And you know they won't survive without you." The audacity nearly took my breath away. "Without me?" I snapped. "Or without someone to use?" Silence on the line. For a second I thought she'd hung up. But then softly she said, "You really think you're so different from me, don't you?" That was the moment. The one that made my stomach twist. Because deep down that was what my parents believed too. That I was just another version of Emma. Only less talented, less charming, less successful. I hung up. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. That night I told my husband everything. Every word Emma had said. He listened quietly, then asked, "Do you think your parents knew?" All this time. I stared at the floor. I think they never let her go. Not really. And now? I swallowed hard. Now she's coming back. I thought maybe that would be the end of it. A single phone call. A ghost returning to haunt me. But the very next day, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address. Just my name on the envelope. Inside was a photo. Emma, sitting at a cafe somewhere sunny, smiling, a glass of wine in hand. On the back, written in her looping handwriting, were 3 words. See you soon. When people say the past always comes back, they make it sound poetic. Romantic even. But when mine came back, it looked like my sister walking into a room I swore she'd never enter again. It was a Sunday afternoon. Lily was in the backyard, sketching chalk drawings on the pavement. My husband was fixing the squeaky hinge on the porch door. And then a car pulled up. I knew it before she even stepped out. The long legs, the sunglasses, the dramatic sweep of hair. Emma. She didn't hesitate. Just walked up the driveway as if she owned it, heels clicking against the pavement. Hey little sis, she said with a smile that made my stomach turn. My husband stepped forward instantly, blocking her path. You shouldn't be here. Emma tilted her head, feigning innocence. Oh, come on. I just wanted to see my niece. At the sound of niece, I glanced back. Lily had frozen mid-drawing, staring wide-eyed at the stranger walking toward her. You disappeared. And then you had the audacity to come back and act like nothing happened. And yet, Emma said sweetly, here you are, still caring at all, still playing the responsible one. The room went silent. My mother's voice broke it. We just want things back the way they were. I stared at her. Back the way they were? You mean me cleaning up after her? You mean you calling Lily little Emma because you couldn't let go of your golden child? My father slammed his hand on the armrest. Enough. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I stepped closer, my voice trembling but steady. No. I'm done. You don't get to hurt my daughter. You don't get to call me ungrateful. You don't get to use me anymore. Emma tilted her head, still smiling faintly. So what then? You walk away again? Pretend you don't need us. I don't need you, I said. And for the first time I believed it. I turned and walked toward the door. My mother's voice followed me. Shrill. Desperate. You'll regret this. Family is forever. I stopped, my hand on the knob, and looked back one last time. No, I said softly. Family is who shows up. And you never did. Then I left. The weeks after were quiet. Painfully quiet. No more letters. No more phone calls. No more cousins chasing me in parking lots. It was as if Emma had dragged all their energy with her when she left again, storming off into whatever life she'd built beyond us. But something had changed in me. I stopped checking the mailbox with dread. I stopped answering unknown numbers. I stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop, because I knew finally there wasn't another shoe. There was just me, my husband, and Lily. And that was enough. Studio microphone voiceover pause, softer now. People think closure is about forgiveness, about hugs and tears and, I'm sorry. But sometimes closure is just walking out the door and never looking back. The other night, Lily crawled into bed beside me. She whispered, Mom? Am I still little Emma? The words pierced deeper than I expected. I hugged her tight and said, No, sweetheart. You're just you. And that's more than enough. She smiled, closed her eyes, fell asleep with her head against my shoulder. And for the first time in years I believed it too. They wanted me to carry the family forever, to pay the debts, to hold the secrets, to raise the ghost of the daughter they'd already lost. But I chose something different. I chose freedom. And freedom, it turns out, looks a lot like peace.